Hello and welcome to the Mobilant channel. I'm Dr. Rode from Bike Master Books. In this video, you'll see how to build your own bike and the process of bike assembly. By understanding the bike assembly process, you can also learn how to maintain a bike very well. Besides this video, our channel has various types of bike building videos. Watching these videos will greatly help you understand bike structures. In this video, we will install the Shimano Di2 wireless components. Since Shimano, SRAM, and Campagnolo have similar assembly processes, if you plan to assemble or build a bike in the future, this video will be very helpful. We will use a carbon road bike frame where the cables are not visible externally. I made this to review the latest Shimano Di2 components commonly used on modern road bikes. Also, subscribing, liking, and leaving your comments will greatly help me produce more videos. If we talk about iconic road bike frames, there are lightweight all-round frames and slightly heavier aero frames with excellent aerodynamic performance. In my case, touring or travel is more important than high-speed riding, so I chose a lightweight all-round frame for this build. Once the frame is ready to assemble a bike, you first need to know the specifications of the parts that can be installed on the frame. And when building a bike, it's good to have a bike tool set like this. First, we will install the brakes. There are two types of brakes, ones with the brake hose attached to the caliper and ones where the brake hose is separate. Let's first see how to assemble a brake where the hose is detached from the caliper. We will start by disassembling a sample product with the brake hose already attached. First, remove the pin that holds the brake pads in place. This can be done with either a bolt or a pin. If it's a pin, use long nose pliers to bend and pull it out. Next, push the brake pads with your fingers to remove them. Inside, you will find the brake pads, the retainer clip, and the brake pad stopper. If the brake pistons are sticking out too much, use a brake pad piston tool or a flat spanner to push them back in. Insert a brake piston holder, which is used during brake bleeding, to hold the pistons in place. We have also attached the pin. Now, use a spanner to loosen and remove the compression nut. Then, firmly pull the brake hose and it will detach from the brake caliper. This is called an olive ring. When attached to the brake caliper, it is compressed to secure and seal the brake hose. Pretty amazing, right? If the original brake hose is too long, cut it as needed. Next, assemble the brake hose components in this order. The rubber cover shown here is often omitted depending on the product. Slide the rubber cover, compression nut, olive ring, and insert onto the brake hose. For Shimano products, inserts come in yellow and silver, with the latest models using silver. Use the brake installation tool to insert the insert fully into the brake hose. The insert is now fully seated. Now push the brake hose into the brake caliper while connecting it. While holding the hose in place, tighten the compression nut. Tighten it just enough to prevent brake fluid from leaking when the brake is applied. Next, remove the brake pad retaining pin and the brake piston holder. To prevent braking noise, clean any brake fluid that may have spilled onto nearby areas. We recommend using isopropyl alcohol and a kitchen towel to clean it. This ensures that all oil is safely and completely removed. Reinstall the brake pads into the caliper. Insert and bend the pin to secure the brake pads, and the brake caliper installation is complete. For internal frames, where cables must pass through small internal holes, you should use internal cable guide tools like this. Using a guide cable with a magnet and a hydraulic brake hose connector, we install the cables inside the frame. Since the brake hose exits outside the head tube, we will proceed without a cable guide tool. The brake mount surface on some frames might not be finished. If so, use sandpaper to smooth the surface. We are using a 140mm brake rotor, so we can mount the frame's brake caliper directly without a 160mm adapter. Make sure to check the bolts for the brake caliper, as the front and rear bolts have different shapes. We will insert the integrated bearing into the head tube after applying grease. If you are curious about the head tube specifications, measure the inner diameter at the top and bottom using a vernier caliper. For bikes using a semi-integrated headset, use a press-fit tool to compress and insert the headset cups. This is generally how a headset is installed. This time, we are using the basic components of an integrated headset. The frame I am using has 52mm headset bearings at both the top and bottom. To prevent noise caused by cables moving inside the bike, insert a sponge tube onto the brake hose. Don't just insert a little to save weight, insert it generously. If you disassemble it again due to noise, you will cry bitterly later. The task will become much bigger. We will also insert the brake hose into the bike fork directly, without a cable guide. This bike frame is extremely easy to work with. Most forks use a 160mm brake rotor. Therefore, a 160mm brake mount adapter is installed on the front brake caliper. Typically, a metal crown race is used on the fork. However, this carbon fork does not have a metal crown race. The steerer tube itself acts as the crown race. Apply plenty of grease here. Insert the lower headset bearing onto the fork steerer tube. Now, we will pass the brake hose through the head tube. To make the work easier, we will set the bike upright. Now, insert the compression ring, then the headset cup and the head tube spacers. Then, we will temporarily install the drop bar and loosely tighten the bolts to secure it. Next, we need the bike wheel set. The tires and tubes have been pre-installed. There are two types of disc brake rotor mounts, 6-bolt and Shimano center lock. The Yoeleo wheel set we are using supports center lock rotors. The rotor is slightly heavy, but we will use a 2-piece heat-resistant rotor. The best products are still Shimano. Since my area is all downhill, heat dissipation is important. There are two types of lock rings. One type is used for sprockets or freewheels, and another is used with the TLFC 32 tool for bottom bracket installation. We will use a 160mm rotor in front and a 140mm rotor at the rear. For the bike sprocket, we will use the Zito lightweight sprocket. Installation is the same as Shimano. Align the large grooves with the freewheel body. Then carefully turn the lock ring by hand to seat it. Next, tighten it with a lock ring tool. Now install the wheel set into the bike frame. The torque for the through axle is about 10 Nm. While installing, we will also align the brake calipers. When I spin the wheel, there's no sound. It's a success. Once the brake calipers are aligned, insert the pins as shown in the diagram. The rear wheel installation is complete. Now, we will start installing the front wheel. Remove the through axle from the fork, install the wheel, and re-secure the through axle. Tighten the front brake caliper fixing bolts. Once the front brake caliper is aligned, install the brake fixing bolt, anti-loosening device, and holder. Now, both front and rear wheels are installed on the frame. If unlucky, the new rotor may be bent. In that case, use a disc brake rotor truing tool to straighten it. Next, we will install the saddle. Carbon saddles are often used for lightweight bikes. 3D saddles with excellent ventilation and comfort are popular. I chose a carbon saddle with EVA padding to keep the bike lightweight. The saddle weighs only about 100 grams. The saddle is really lightweight. Carbon rail saddles come in 7 millimeters and over 7 millimeters diameters. If using a 9 millimeter carbon rail saddle, check that the seat clamp supports a thick 9 millimeter rail before installing. Now sit on the bike to check your desired position. Adjust the drop bar height by adding or removing headset spacers. If using a race setup, remove all headset spacers. Once you find the comfortable height, prepare to cut the carbon steerer tube. Mark the cutting position with a pen. Also select the cutting position for the seat post. Be careful not to cut it too short. Generally, leave at least this much length when the saddle is at its highest. Once cut, it cannot be undone. Remove the fork from the frame, and then use a carbon steerer tube cutting guide tool to cut the steerer tube. In practice, it's better to secure the tool in a vise on a workbench before cutting. Otherwise, it may twist and cut unevenly. Cut about 4 millimeters past the initial mark. Cut the seat post as well. Do not use just any saw blade. You need to use a fine-toothed blade like this. Otherwise, it won't cut properly. Now, let's reinstall the fork onto the frame. Apply plenty of grease to the head tube and bearings. Smooth the cut surface with sandpaper. To prevent carbon fibers from fraying, apply Loctite 401 super glue and let it dry. Install the headset lifting core into the carbon fork steerer tube. I used a lightweight product, which is lighter than the standard type. For safety, a longer product is recommended. It is said that if someone with too much strength uses it, this part can break. Depending on the road bike handlebar or frame design, the brake hose may pass through the lifting core. Now, temporarily insert the stem of the drop bar into the steerer tube. We will use the internal cable guide of the drop bar to route the brake hose. It's easier and faster if you separate the drop bar when working. The brake hose may already have an insert pressed in, and the hole may be blocked. In this case, cut the cable to continue working. This way you can connect the cable guide tool connector. It's best to prepare a new insert and olive ring. As you can see, if the opening is too narrow, it can be difficult to pass the cables through using the usual method. From now on, we are talking about a somewhat old-fashioned topic. For bicycles in countries that drive on the right lever controls the rear brake. If you want to ride motorcycles or scooters skillfully, it is recommended to make the right brake the front brake. There is a famous rider who excels in both road and mountain biking. He is Tom Pidcock from the UK. The UK drives on the left side of the road. Even if the brake position is different, it doesn't cause problems when riding. However, be careful when riding someone else's bike. You could fly off. Now, install the headset cap and tighten the bolt just until the handlebars rotate smoothly. Use a tool to align the handlebars properly. Tighten the stem bolts alternately. Now, install the dual levers. Remove the hoods to see the bolts and tighten them to secure the levers. Open the headset cap again and align the dual levers. This tool has pins on one side, so it can only roughly check the height. It is not recommended for precise measurement of dual lever height. Make sure the dual lever angle is horizontal. Now remove the tool and align the derailleur hanger. This is called a hanger alignment tool. Fix it to the hanger and rotate to check that the distance to the pins is equal. If the distances are different, use the tool to bend the hanger. If this wheel is bent, that won't work, right? In that case, the rear derailleur hanger won't align properly. Perfect. After riding a new road bike about 100 kilometers, play may occur. It is recommended to loosen all bolts and retighten them. Remove the front wheel from the fork. First, remove the pins that fix the brakes. Loosen and remove the caliper brake pin bolts. Now, the brake pads can be removed. Use a brake caliper piston reset tool to push in any protruding pistons. First, we will look at installing a caliper and hose already combined type. Insert the brake piston holder. Temporarily insert a pin to prevent the holder from slipping. Now, the brake hose must be cut. Do not cut the hose too short. Push the hose further into the handlebar drop bar. Rotate the handlebars more than 90 degrees left and right. Once the brake hose length is decided, cut it. Tilt the bike forward for easier work. Remove the white plastic parts. Use a spanner to remove the brake hose compression nut. Sometimes the brake olive ring is inside. Remove the olive ring. I never expected there would be an olive ring inside here. Remove the compression nut cap and push the nut into the hose. Insert the olive ring. Use the insert tool to push the insert fully into the brake hose. As you can see, the insert is fully seated. Now push the brake hose into the dual lever and tighten the compression nut. 0.5 to 1 millimeter gap. It only needs to prevent brake oil from leaking during operation. Use isopropyl alcohol and a kitchen towel to clean the oil. To remove air from inside the dual lever, tilt the bike multiple times while operating the brake lever. Loosen the bleeding port bolt. Install the road bike adapter and bleeding cup. Fill brake oil into the cup. Press the brake lever to remove air completely. For more thorough air removal, tilt the bike and operate the brake repeatedly. Repeat until no bubbles appear. Once all air is removed, remove the bleeding cup. No more oil comes from the cup. Remove the bleeding cup adapter and tighten the bleeding port bolt. Use isopropyl alcohol and a kitchen towel to clean any remaining oil. Cover the hoods. Return any remaining Shimano mineral brake oil to the container. This time, we'll go over how to install the brake hose with a caliper split type. The installation of the right dual lever is the same as the left side. For brake calipers with a detachable hose, oil bleeding is required from the caliper side. Just like on the left brake, connect the hose to the right dual lever. Once this step is done, the brake caliper is ready for bleeding. Use a syringe to fill the brake oil and lock it to prevent leakage. Temporarily remove the mounting caps on the brake caliper here. This is the caliper nipple. The lower part is the nipple valve bolt. Also, remove the rubber cap here. Attach and secure the caliper nipple hose to the bleed port. Loosen the dual lever bleed port valve bolt. Install the adapter and oil funnel cup onto the bleed port. Slightly loosen the bleed port valve bolt. Now open the lock switch on the brake oil syringe. Then, press the syringe to fill it with brake oil. The cup will start to fill with oil. When enough oil has filled, tighten the bleed port valve bolt. After tightening the valve bolt, remove the syringe. Return any remaining oil back into the container. Use isopropyl alcohol to completely wipe off any oil. This is to prevent brake squeal. Operate the brake lever until no more bubbles appear. The brake lever should not feel spongy and must provide firm pressure. Once no more bubbles are released, remove the bleed cup. Tighten the bleed port bolt. Use isopropyl alcohol and a paper towel to remove any leftover oil. Reinstall the caliper rubber cap that was removed earlier. Remove the brake piston holder block and wipe away any oil. Reinstall the brake pads into the caliper. Tighten the brake pad retaining bolt. Finally, insert the safety clip. Now it's time to install the Shimano E-tube cables. Be careful with the plastic rods attached to the cables so they do not damage the E-tube cables. Use the internal cable guide tool to feed the cables through the frame. Cable routing depends on the battery installation position. It may be installed along the frame's down tube, but usually it goes inside or along the seat post. Use Shimano Di2 cable connectors to route the E-tube cables through the bike frame. One thing to consider when buying a road bike frame is whether to use Shimano or SRAM drivetrains. This is because of the Derailleur hanger that fixes the rear derailleur. UDH is a universal hanger standard made by SRAM that fits all their bikes. It is compatible with most rear derailleurs on the market. If a bike frame uses a UDH rear derailleur hanger, SRAM T-type derailleurs can also be used. This system is known for being very strong. Shimano direct mount hangers require either a frame-specific hanger or replacing the UDH hanger with a Shimano direct mount hanger purchased separately. This greatly improves shifting accuracy. It also makes wheel removal and installation faster and easier. The part that connects the bike to the wheel is called the through axle. Check the thread pitch carefully before swapping hangers. Removing the rear derailleur bolt exposes the B-axle. Remove it, then mount the derailleur onto the direct mount hanger. If you click on Show More in the video description, you'll find links to installation videos for Shimano and LLE carbon crank arms, as well as Rock Bros carbon crank arms. Please check them out. Secure the rear derailleur onto the hanger. Check that the B-link moves freely. Align the derailleur hanger so the stopper is closed before securing. Once the derailleur is fixed, first put a rubber cover on the E-tube cable. Then connect the E-tube cable to the rear derailleur. Reinstall the rubber cover. This plastic part secures the E-tube cable. Install it into the rear derailleur bolt hole. The plastic part keeps the E-tube cables neat and organized. connect the E-tube cable to the front derailleur. Using a dedicated tool makes installation and removal easier. Connecting the cable, install the plastic cover. Secure the front derailleur on the braze-on mount. Front derailleur come with an aluminum support plate. Place it where the support bolt protrudes. It helps smooth shifting and prevents frame damage. For my frame, the thick braze-on mount makes it unnecessary. Fix the front derailleur to the frame. Follow the sticker on the derailleur for height. Leave a 1 to 3 mm gap. After fixing, tighten the support bolt and align with the crank chain ring in a straight line. Front derailleur installation is now complete. Remove the pin covering the battery slot. Connect the front and rear derailleur E-tube cables. Leave one port for other Shimano accessories or as a spare. This bike mounts the battery in the seat post. Wrap insulation tape to prevent the battery from falling out. Carefully insert the seat post into the frame to avoid damaging the E-tube cables. Open the rear derailleur charging cover and charge the battery. If the charging is complete, please close the rear derailleur cover. The installation of the Di2 system on the road bike frame is now complete. Now you need to pair these devices. First, turn on Bluetooth on your smartphone. Then download and install the Shimano E-tube app. When you run the E-tube app, press and hold the rear derailleur function button for about 1 to 2 seconds to enter pairing mode. The blue indicator light will start flashing. Along with the resistor bike or power meter, there is a plus button. Press it. Now search for the device to be paired, and once it appears, click Register. At this point, you can set a passkey. You can either set your desired password or press Later to set it later. Once registered, the battery and derailleurs will be displayed. Now press the next button. The page will move to Add Switch mode. Enter Add Switch and register the Shimano dual lever. Next, you need to either manually enter the device number inside the dual lever or scan the QR code. I will scan the QR code. Both the left lever and the right lever must be registered. Now press the Complete button. Enter the name of your road bike and take a photo. When you click Register as new bike, it will ask whether you want to save the passkey on the Shimano server. For now, I will not save it. If you are concerned about theft, it is better to register. Once registration is complete, you will enter the Customize menu. Now press the shifter button under Switch. It will then prompt you to press any button on the left dual lever. At this point, press and hold the left lever button for about 1 second. Register the right dual lever in the same way. Once registration is complete, you can configure the button functions. In the case of 105, each lever can use 2 buttons. Recently, Shimano has enabled both Shift Up and Shift Down to be operated from the same buttons. After setting this, the remaining buttons can be used for cycling computers like Garmin, such as changing display screens. Depending on the product, it is also possible to turn your bike lights on and off wirelessly. Although it may seem unnecessary, a fine adjustment may sometimes be required to move the front derailleur slightly outward from the large chainring. Honestly, I don't strongly recommend using the buttons for functions other than shifting. However, while using them this way, I have never experienced shifting problems or chain drop issues. On Ultegra and Dura-Ace models, there are hidden buttons on top of the dual levers. These can be set as shifting buttons or configured as the rear derailleur function button. Alternatively, they can be used as control buttons for cycling computers, as I mentioned earlier. If you've installed satellite shifters, you can press the Add Satellite Shifter button to register them as well. There are 2 types: a long cable version installed under the top of the drop bar, and a sprint shifter type mounted underneath the drop bar. I'll upload a separate video on how to install them. Once all settings are complete, press the Apply button at the bottom. Switch registration is now finished. Back on the Customize page, go to the Shift menu and click on the front derailleur image. First, select the crank chainring installed on your bike. Next, choose the cassette installed on your bike. If the exact spec isn't available, just select any option. It won't cause any issues. Now, press the OK button. Or you can press the three-dot menu button to change the settings later. Now you can configure semi-synchronized shift and synchronized shift. By default, S1 is set to semi-synchronized shift mode. In this mode, when you shift with the front derailleur, the rear derailleur automatically adjusts. It shows front up to rear down 2 gears. When the front chainring shifts to the big ring, that's called a shift up. The rear derailleur automatically shifts down 2 gears to a larger cog. This way, when your speed increases, pedaling doesn't suddenly get heavier. Instead, you can keep spinning the crank smoothly at the right gear ratio, without shock. Normally, shifting only the front gear creates a big jolt, but this system automatically prevents that. Now, tap the S1 image. You can set the system to automatically adjust up to 3 gears when shifting the front, but the default 2-gear setting works best. Next, press the 3-dot menu in the top right corner. Here, you can adjust the shifting speed for semi-synchronized mode. If you ride with a slower, more power-focused cadence, it's better to choose slow. Once you've set up semi-synchronized shift mode, press Apply to save. The S2 slot is set to synchronized shift mode. To explain simply, if you shift only the rear derailleur, the front derailleur will shift automatically. This feature is useful when riding solo on flat terrain. Now press the synchronized shift button. You will see a table like this. The numbers at the top indicate the front chainring, 52T for the big chainring, and 36T for the small chainring. The numbers on the left indicate the rear sprockets, ranging from 11 to 30T. The specs you entered initially can be checked in this table. You can adjust the shifting points as you like. For example, if the crank is on the small chainring 36T and the rear sprocket is 16T, and you want to shift up to the next stage, the crank chainring will change to the big 50T. At the same time, the rear sprocket will automatically shift to 19T, moving the chain to the larger gear. The gear ratio is also shown in parentheses. As your speed increases, the gear ratio changes from 2.25 to 2.74. The blue section on the right works in the opposite direction. When climbing a hill and shifting down to a smaller gear, the crank chainring changes to 36T, and the rear sprocket automatically shifts to 21T. The gear changes automatically to the next step. If you click the animation button in the top right, you can see a simulation of how it works. Shifting up from 16T activates synchronized mode. Shifting down from 27T also activates synchronized mode. With this setup, the chain usually runs through the middle sprocket. This is to ensure the chain stays as straight as possible, operates smoothly, and maximizes energy efficiency. Chain noise is minimal. Some people call this position the sweet spot. Next, click the 3-dot icon in the top right corner. Here, you can adjust the synchronized shift interval. It is recommended to set it to normal. Finally, press the Apply button to save your settings. Now press the rear derailleur shift unit button. First, let me explain the multi-shift function. This feature allows the gears to shift continuously when you hold down the shift button on the dual lever. First, there is a button to turn the multi-shift function on or off. Second, the gear shifting interval function sets the speed of multi-shift. For stable shifting, it is recommended to leave it on normal. If you ride with a focus on crank rotation speed, you can set it to fast mode. Now the third line is the gear no limit setting. This lets you set the number of consecutive gear shifts, or use it with no limit. Personally, I found setting it to unlimited the most intuitive and convenient. Now, press the Apply button to complete the setup. If you press the Update button at the top left, a list of devices available for update will appear. If there are devices that can be updated, it's recommended to update them. On your smartphone, press the Maintenance button at the top right. First, you can check the battery level of the dual lever. Next, by pressing the Gear Use Rate button, you can see the gear ratios you have used while riding. Next is the adjustment. First, press the front shifting unit button. If a warning appears to be careful of hand injuries, press OK. And then press the Start button. This is step 1. At the beginning, the chain should be on the big front chain ring and the smallest rear sprocket, as shown in the illustration. Then, press Start. Now, step 2. Adjust the gap between the front derailleur outer plate and the chain using the left and right buttons, setting it between 0.5 and 1 mm as shown. Once the position is adjusted, press the next button. Now, step 3. As shown, the chain is set to move to the largest front and largest rear gear positions. Press the Start button. A prompt will appear to rotate the crank arm. Rotate the crank arm. When the gear shift is complete, press Start again. Now, step 4. Adjust the gap between the front derailleur inner plate and the chain to 0 to 0.5 mm as shown. Once adjusted, press the next button. Now, step 5. As shown, the chain is set to move to the smallest front and largest rear gear positions. Press Start, and a prompt will appear to rotate the crank arm. Rotate the crank arm. Now, the final step 6. Once the gear shift is complete, adjust the gap between the front derailleur inner plate and the chain to 0 to 0.5 mm as shown. When the position is set, press the Complete button to finish the front derailleur adjustment. Finally, press the Complete button. Next, press the rear shift unit button in adjustment. If a warning appears to be careful of hand injuries, press OK. You can now see the current rear derailleur position. Press the left and right buttons at the top to shift the rear derailleur. Now comes the most important part. Use the Adjust at the bottom to align the chain with the rear derailleur. While shifting gears, press the buttons to optimize the rear derailleur position. It is recommended to adjust every gear position. However, adjusting only the largest, smallest, and middle gear positions is sufficient. While rotating the pedals and shifting gears, check that each gear shifts smoothly and adjust so that shifting works well in every direction. When the rear derailleur is aligned, press the Complete button to finish. Finally, press the Disconnect button to complete the Di2 setup using the eTube app. Now, we will install the bicycle chain. Actually, the chain should be installed before setting up the Di2 system. For the sake of the video flow, I've already completed the Di2 system setup. If you look closely at the Shimano chain, make sure the logo is positioned so it's visible. When using a chain link, connect it in the direction the chain rotates. Pay close attention to the arrow markings. Some cheaper products don't have any markings. For those, just install them as they are. Now, let's start installing the chain. First, move the front derailleur to the largest chain ring. Then, shift the rear derailleur to the largest sprocket. Install the chain on the crankset and cassette and use a chain hook to temporarily hold it in place. The ideal chain length is when the rear derailleur is almost fully extended but not completely straight. At first, don't cut too much of the chain. Now, use a chain cutter to trim the chain. Next, use a chain link to connect the chain. Once the chain is connected, remove the chain hook that was holding it. At first glance, the chain length seems appropriate. Let's test to see if the chain is too long or too short. Shift the chain to the smallest chain ring in the front and the smallest sprocket in the rear cassette. When shifting, the chain sags slightly. It's about 1 link too long. Trim 1 link and reconnect the chain using the chain link. Use the chain link to disconnect the chain again and cut the chain with the chain cutter. Then use the removed chain link to reconnect the chain. Now, the chain length is perfect. You can see the chain no longer sags. And if you use a chain checker, you can measure the chain's lifespan like this. By using the chain checker, it's best to replace the chain before it stretches too much. And as you can see, it can also be used as a chain hook. Now we've finally reached the last step. We will start adjusting the derailleur limit screws. Have you changed the cassette? If so, adjust the B-tension screw immediately. Bicycle cassettes are commonly 30T, 32T, or 34T. Whenever you change the cassette, you need to turn the B-tension screw to adjust the distance between the chain and the cassette. First, shift the gears so the chain is on the smallest chain ring in the front and the largest sprocket in the rear. For small cassettes like 30T, loosen the B-tension screw so the derailleur sits closer to the sprocket. For large cassettes like 34T, tighten the B-tension screw so the derailleur doesn't sit too close. The key is maintaining the correct distance. You can also use adjustable guide papers or tools sold on AliExpress for this. The cassette just needs to pass along the guideline. The left side is 28T, the right side is 30T. Now let me explain the basic concept of the B-tension screw. Loosening the B-tension screw brings the chain closer to the cassette, which improves chain engagement, increases power transfer efficiency, and significantly reduces chain drops. However, the downside is that shifting becomes heavier, less smooth, and rolling resistance increases. On the other hand, tightening the B-tension screw increases the distance between the chain and cassette, making shifting very smooth and fast. But this reduces power transfer efficiency and can cause the chain to occasionally jump. That's why adjusting the B-tension screw is necessary whenever you change cassette sizes. Also, if you switch cassette brands, the position may vary slightly. For this reason, adjusting the rear derailleur limit screws may also be required to prevent chain drops. First, let's look at the L-bolt, or low limit screw. It prevents the chain from dropping inward when the rear derailleur moves to the largest sprocket, the lowest gear ratio. Shift the chain to the largest chain ring in the front and the largest sprocket in the rear. Turn the screw until the chain no longer falls off, adjusting the rear derailleur's inward travel. Next is the H-screw, or high limit screw. It prevents the chain from dropping outward when the rear derailleur moves to the smallest sprocket, the highest gear ratio. Shift the chain to the largest chain ring in the front and the smallest sprocket in the rear. Turn the H-screw until the chain no longer falls off, adjusting the rear derailleur's outward travel. With this setup, the chain will no longer drop. Yes, it's complete. Thank you for watching this long video. In the next video, I'll upload more content related to Shimano Di2 components, so don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you for watching.